It's lovely to see you.
Likewise. So how's the day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again?
It's great. I always find something, I hope something new to say in these interviews. Everyone's had such wonderful questions, and when you had a great experience making the film, it's easy to talk about.
Sure. So not your first film working with James or Steven. When did you kind of realize that it wasn't going to be a one-off with those guys?
I think about day two of Air Force One Down. I really really enjoyed that film. That was a huge challenge and a huge gift. And of course, I've been working with James Bamford since Arrow, and he's like a dad to me. I've shadowed him as a director myself, and I've watched his directing career grow and flourish, and watched him really find his own voice in that space as well. And it's a joy. Yeah, anytime Bam calls me, I will show up.
BAMs. How many movies or projects in do you have to work on to be able to call them BAMs?
I was introduced because apparently that was he I think got the nickname Bam Bam when he was working in stunts. And so pretty much day two of Arrow, everybody calls him Bam or Bam Bam. And so he's always been Bam to me, but I always try to remember to call him James in the press, which is odd for me.
Or Mr. Director, but whatever it is, not the first film of his that was done in Bulgaria.
Mhm.
So you've now been to Bulgaria two or three times?
I have. This is my third film in Bulgaria.
Got it. So did it take a lot of adjusting, or is it just state of the art and it feels like any other film studio?
This is what I love about film communities all over the world is no matter where you go, you're going to
Mhm.
find amazing artists and beautiful technicians and people that are so good at what they do.
Hmm.
And a beautiful community that has come together and formed a family of their own. So whether it's, Bulgaria or the Dominican Republic or Canada or wherever we might be, you find those communities. And I think that's the most beautifully universal thing. But the Bulgaria is incredible. The studios that they have there and the facilities and everything that they have, all the resources at their disposal are so incredible. So it makes filming there an utter joy.
So I keep saying James's name, Steven's name, and all that, but a lot of the cast also appears in multiple films, Charlie being one of them. So
Mhm.
at this point in time, is it a challenge to work with the same people because you may forget which character they're playing, or is it just so familiar that it's actually a comforting thing?
I think the only person I've had that issue with is Matt Daddario because we've been on screen together in so many things at this point that I'm just like, Alec, no, uh, what's your name this time? I don't really know anymore. Let's
Yeah.
figure this. But that's the joy. That's again why I love working with Matt Daddario because we know how the other person works. We know what they're going to bring to the table, and you can trust that it's going to be great. And you know that kind of working relationship and that kind of banter that you have already.
Hmm.
It just kind of shifts and morphs as you play different characters. But again, that's what was so wonderful about this film is you have people. I've been a fan of Charlie's work for a long time. Obviously, Henry's fantastic. John is a legend of the industry, and James, who played our big
Hmm.
bad villain, who just played it so deliciously. They're all wonderful and they're so skilled and so kick-ass, and getting to bring this story to life with each and every one of them was brilliant.
So before you mentioned shadowing as a director, but people who snoop around your IMDb see a couple of upcoming producer credits. Is that part of the long-term game as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's something, I was thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about it for years, but it really forced it to the forefront during the pandemic and during the strike and going, okay, what can I do to fill my creative cup at the moment? And that became writing and producing and looking at directing. And as the more I've studied and kind of dipped my toes into those worlds, it's incredible, particularly with directing, for example,
Hmm.
you can tell a story through so many different avenues than you can as an actor. You can tell a story with color and with light and with music and with where you place the camera. You're literally guiding the audience through the story
Hmm.
with your perspective of it. And I think that's so exciting and challenging and terrifying all at the same time. I'm so close to getting my hand at trying it myself, and we're getting there. We're very close, but we're getting there. But with producing, I've been on so many sets over the years, and I've worked with incredible producers and
Hmm.
seen problems solved well and seen problems solved poorly on sets, and I've always kind of looked at set as an opportunity to go, how do we solve this problem for the greater good, but ultimately for the good of the story, and for the best utilization of resources. And it's been fun for me to sort of look at that and go, how do I connect people and create the best teams that are going to create the best product on screen? And it's the most fun in the world to be able to call up people that you love and respect and go, hey, do you want to come play and tell this story with us? And I've been able to do that in bits and bobs here and there now, and I hope to do more of it.
So if you're going to be acting, writing, producing, and directing while having the millions of social media followers, then I guess the singing is going to have to take a back seat.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm dying to go back and do a Broadway show. I'm dying to do a movie musical one of these days, or get back to my own music. It's just all about the time. I think all things happen in the timing that they're meant to, and if you just keep putting forward the work and keep finding those opportunities and being proactive, that the chips will fall where they're supposed to.
Well, two more questions and then I'll let you go. And the first one is, this is a new movie to us, High Ground, but are we allowed to know what the next project that's coming out is?
Absolutely. So, I mean, High Ground was such a great experience and a challenge in of itself. But the next film that I have coming out is called The Queen's Jewels, and it should be out, I think, later this year. I'm not exactly sure of the information, but it's very Outer Banks meets National Treasure. It's, a bunch of kids running through the jungle, finding treasure
Hmm.
and exceeding everyone's expectations. And the cast and crew were just amazing, and shooting it was quite the adventure in and of itself, sprinting most of the time, sprinting through the jungles of the Dominican Republic, between thunderstorms and feral cows and dune buggies. We somehow made a movie, and it's a really, really beautiful film in and of itself.
So the last question I have has nothing to do with High Ground. I think I read online that you finished high school when you were 14. If that's true, then I have a follow-up to that.
Okay, it is true.
Okay. What did you do with yourself when you graduated high school at 14? Did you take a couple months off? Because usually when you finish college, you say, I'm going to backpack across Europe, but you can't quite do that when you're 14 finishing high school.
No, not particularly. So I'm a huge nerd. I love school. I loved learning. I loved all of it. And I did not want to stop. So when I found out, quite by accident, that I was graduating high school at age 14, I said, oh no, I don't want to be done with school. So I started a semester of dual enrollment at University of Missouri, Kansas City. And then when I moved to New York, I transferred to Drexel University, who had just started their first kind of online correspondence program in their business school. And it being one of the top 25 brick and mortar business schools in the nation, I felt it was pretty trustworthy. And so I ended up getting my degree I got my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration while working on Broadway and doing a myriad of other things, because I'm just insane. And I ended up graduating summa cum laude at 17, with my BSBA. And I'm incredibly grateful for it to this day.
Wow. Doogie Howser. Okay. Thank you for your time. Congrats on High Ground and looking forward to the next projects you got coming, whether you're on screen, behind the scenes, or singing.
Thank you very much.
Paltrocast.